Hey everyone, you're with Tesla Tom and thanks for joining us on Ludicrous Feed. Today we're going to look at my latest power bill which covers the winter months here in Sydney, Australia between May and August. This is the power bill I've been waiting for because it is my first full winter bill with the Tesla PowerWall2 home battery, so theoretically this is about as much as I should ever pay for electricity in relative terms. Just a quick shout out as always to our loyal supporters. At the time of posting this video we are almost at 1400 subscribers, so thank you all very much. If you're joining us for the first time, then hello and welcome. Feel free to click on the red subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos. Okay, so let's run through quickly what we're going to do in this video. First of all, I'm going to give you a quick summary about my situation to give you some context. I will then give you some statistics about the weather that we've had in Sydney over the period that this power bill covers. I'll then run through the bill itself and dissect it for you and compare it to my previous bill, as well as a bill from a couple of years ago before I had the PowerWall 2. I'll then wrap up with some final thoughts to finish with. So here are some facts about me. I live in Sydney, Australia in a double-storey 5-bedroom house with my wife and 2 young children who are both under the age of 10. I have a 3 kilowatt solar array which was installed 5 years ago in 2013. I have a Tesla PowerWall 2 home battery which has a 13.5 kilowatt hour capacity. During this last winter I had my pool pump on its lowest setting running for 4 hours per day every alternate day. Given we have young children, we often have oil column heaters running overnight on timers to keep them nice and warm. This table gives us a snapshot of what winter looked like in Sydney this year. Sydney actually lies 33 degrees south, which is why it has a very similar climate to Los Angeles, which lies 34 degrees north. As a result, much like Southern California, winters in Sydney are fairly mild. In 2018, our average lows ranged from 8.4 degrees Celsius in July to 11.9 degrees in May, while our days can sometimes get quite warm, reaching 21.7 degrees in May. Even in June, during the month of the winter solstice, the average high is 17.8 degrees, which is still relatively pleasant. In terms of hours of sunlight, it ranged from an average of 5.1 hours per day in June up to 8.6 hours per day in July. We're actually pretty fortunate here in Sydney to still have quite sunny winters. So here's what my power company provides as a summary on the front page of the power bill. I'll point out a few key things here. In the 90-day period between the 19th of May and the 16th of August, my household consumed 1,652 kilowatt hours, which placed us below the average usage of a one-person household. The little blurb below the graphic says, average usage data supplied by Australian Energy Regulator based on homes with a pool during winter. Okay, so my little family of 4 is using less energy than an average single-person household. I guess I'm pretty happy with that result. Now it says on my bill that my daily average cost was $5.19. I'm not sure how they arrived at this number, because that's not the number I got when I divided $383.31 by 90 days. That figure is actually $4.26, so I'm just going to ignore that figure they provided me. I consumed an average of 18.36 kilowatt hours per day, and again I'll go into more detail about that shortly. In total, this bill cost me $383.31 in Australian dollars, which at the current exchange rate is about $270 for 90 days of electricity. So this next slide is a breakdown of my usage, and if you're freaking out over the numbers, don't worry, you are not alone. Australian power bills are notoriously hard to read, and it does take some practice to read them. I may even produce a separate video later on how to read power bills properly, so you don't get ripped off. I've condensed the data into a more user-friendly format, but before I move on, I just wanted to point out quickly that there was a price change halfway through this bill period, and shock horror, the prices actually went down. Okay, so it was only a little drop, but like we're talking a reduction of less than 0.5%, but hey, it's better than the alternative, I suppose. I'll probably make a separate video on the price drop in the coming days also. So as promised, I reworked the data into an easier to read table. I'm on a time of use tariff and I'll explain what that means. You'll see the headings on the left of the table going down. Peak period is between 2 to 8 PM on weekdays, so obviously I'll do everything humanly possible to reduce usage during these hours. Off-peak is between 10 PM to 7 AM daily, while shoulder is every other time, that is between 7 AM and 2 PM, and 8 to 10 PM daily, and also between 7 AM and 10 PM on weekends. My hot water is on a separate tariff, and of course there is the solar feed-in tariff. For those who are new to solar, in essence, any solar energy your panels produce that is not used by your house or stored in a battery can be exported or sold back to the grid. In my case, this price, otherwise known as the solar feed-in tariff, is 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Of course, this is much lower than what I pay to buy electricity. You'll see that peak prices are ridiculously high at 54 cents per kilowatt hour. Off-peak is much more reasonable at 15 cents, while shoulder is at 23 cents and my hot water is at 17 cents. And to make matters worse, these are pre-tax prices. So as I said earlier, I do everything I can to reduce electricity usage during peak hours, and it looks like I've achieved that. I only used 11 kilowatt hours in peak time during this bill period, which meant I only paid $5.91 all up. The bulk of my consumption occurred during off-peak hours, with a massive 1,191 kilowatt hours coming in at $178.35. Honestly, I don't mind too much because the majority of this usage came from overnight heating for my children. It's a very reasonable price to keep them warm and healthy. Over a 90-day period, that's less than $2 per day for their comfort. I didn't use too much electricity during the shoulder period either, only racking up 127 kilowatt hours, totaling $29.12. While my hot water system is very efficient, thanks to my Sandon heat pump, where I only paid $54.92 for 323 kilowatt hours, which equates to less than 4 kilowatt hours per day during the coldest months of the year. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I only exported 116 kilowatt hours of solar energy back to the grid. And you might think that's a bit low, but don't forget I have a Tesla PowerWall2 home battery, so I would say the majority of solar produced during the day was used to charge the battery. $12.83 of exported solar energy was credited to my account thanks to the feed-in tariff. So in total, I paid $255.47 for electricity usage alone from my power company. So in addition to the $255.47 in electricity usage, I also paid $81.82 for my electric car plan. This is a special plan with AGL, my power company. It's essentially $1 per day for the ability to charge my Tesla Model S as much as I want. The electricity consumption for my car is not added to my overall usage and hence does not attract any additional payment apart from the $1 per day. Check out my video I made earlier this year where I discussed the plan in further detail. GST is our goods and services tax in Australia, of which I paid an extra $43.65. $84.03 was deducted from pay-on-time discounts applied to my bill. This all adds up to $383.31 for my winter bill. So how does this compare to my previous bills? Well, this slide answers that question. You can see the difference in usage between my previous bill from autumn earlier in the year with this winter bill. That difference is basically all the overnight heating that we used over winter. I only used 5.57 kilowatt hours per day in autumn compared to more than triple that in winter at 18.36 kilowatt hours. The daily cost in autumn was almost 40% cheaper than that of winter at $2.64 versus $4.26, which made my autumn bill almost $150 cheaper compared to winter. So let's compare this year's winter bill with a winter bill from 2 years ago in 2016. Now, just for full disclosure, I didn't compare it to last year's winter bill from 2017, only because that was when my PowerWall2 was installed, and there were a few issues with my meter which I had to sort out with my power company. So in 2016, I used a bit more electricity at 20.09 kilowatt hours compared to 18.36 kilowatt hours in 2018. I paid $4.44 per day 2 years ago compared to $4.26 this year, which reflected in a slightly higher bill of $403.82 compared to this year's $383.31. By now I'm sure you're asking, how come it hasn't made that much of a difference in price compared to 2 years ago? Well, there's actually one more variable in this equation. I only got my Tesla Model S in October of 2016, and that winter bill was between May and August of 2016, which means for that 2016 bill, I neither had a PowerWall2 nor an electric car. But on the flip side, you can argue that 2 years later in 2018, I now have a PowerWall2 battery, which basically helps to offset the electricity needed to power my electric car. And despite the extra usage now in 2018, I'm still using less electricity, which means I'm paying less per day despite the increases in the price of electricity when compared to 2016. So yes, in summary, looking at these numbers, I'm pretty happy with how much electricity my household has used compared to my last bill and compared to 2 years ago when my situation was a bit different. So I guess I'd like to finish with this final thought. Should I get more solar panels to try to reduce my bill even further? Let's look at this as a mathematical exercise. As I said before, when I compare my current winter bill with my autumn bill, I'm paying about $150 extra in winter to heat my house overnight. Otherwise, for all the other seasons like spring and summer, it will look very similar to my autumn bill because in summer my house has pretty good cross ventilation and we also tend to use pedestal fans rather than the air conditioning if it gets too hot. My current 3 kilowatt solar array was installed 5 years ago in 2013 and by my calculation it has basically paid itself off in bill savings and feed-in tariffs. So any extra solar export is a bonus for me now. Which leads me back to my question, is it worth installing an extra 5 kilowatt solar array? I've gotten a couple of quotes recently for a 5 kilowatt array and accompanying microinverter, and if I proceeded, I'd have to pay around $7,000 to $8,000 including installation. So to offset that extra $150 per year, the payback time is fairly long, like possibly over 10 years. Now I realise of course I would get more back with the feed-in tariff, which would shorten the payback of course. I'll probably sit down and map it all out in a future video, but just at first glance, it doesn't seem quite worth it to me at this stage. And even if the new panels do a great job and I manage to pay it back in 5 to 10 years time, by then the Tesla solar roof tiles would have arrived in Australia. If not Tesla, then other companies will be in the market selling a similar product. And to be honest, my roof tiles probably could do with replacing in the next 5 to 10 years, so I'm hoping the timing will be perfect. Alright guys, there you have it. There's a summary and analysis of my most recent power bill. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please make sure you give it a like if you do. Also leave a comment if you've got any questions or if you'd like me to clarify any part of this video. What did you think of my final question? Do you agree with my brief calculations? Is it worth me installing more panels to try to get my bill even further down? Or do you agree that perhaps I should wait for solar roof tiles? Hopefully it's a lovely day wherever you are in this world, and as always, happy charging! Thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of the energy revolution. If you haven't done so already, be sure to hit subscribe to keep up to date with our latest videos. If you're about to buy a Tesla, use our promo code on screen to score $100 in supercharging credit. Happy charging!